What really happened behind Jimin BTS's tears at the end of his military service? Why did an idol, known for his cheerful smile and resilience, suddenly collapse in weakness, shedding tears in the quiet midnight hours of the barracks? This question became a mystery that enveloped BTS fans, especially after Jimin revealed the deep emotions he had hidden during his mandatory military service. And even more surprisingly, Jungkook, Jimin's close friend, finally spoke out about what truly happened that night, sharing a deeper story than we might have imagined. Jimin and Jungkook, two BTS members famous for their strong friendship bond, both served their mandatory military service together in the 5th Division of Yeoneun, South Korea. The decision to serve together provided a sense of comfort for both of them. While many fans worried about how they would cope without each other, Jimin revealed that having Jungkook by his side made him feel calmer and not alone. They often spent their nights talking about the future, about music, and about what would happen after their military service ended. However, beneath all of this, there were deeper feelings that were kept tightly locked away. Towards the end of his service, Jimin wrote a letter expressing his sadness, especially about how much he missed his fans. The letter was not just a simple expression of longing, but also a very personal confession about his inner journey during his military service. Jimin realized that, although his routine was full of demanding training and tasks, the hardest part was the approaching separation from the world that had become his home, the entertainment world, the world of BTS. But what made Jimin so emotional in his final days? Many believed it was the pressure of the exhausting military routine, or perhaps a deep longing for army, the loyal fans who had been waiting for him. But there was another factor that might not be widely known by the public. When Jimin cried, it wasn't just because of longing or physical exhaustion, but because of a very deep realization about one thing: time. Time that keeps moving forward without being stopped. That night, Jimin sat alone behind the barracks, gazing at the starry sky. In his hands, an old, folded photo with fraying corners. The photo showed the 8 BTS members still together, before they all began their military journey. As he looked at the photo, Jimin was suddenly haunted by the reality that those moments would never return. The world they knew, the world of the stage and bright spotlights, might have already changed. Jimin's tears that night were not just because of fatigue or heavy pressure. They were tears because of a realization that came so deeply. Could BTS ever be the same again? Would the entertainment world they knew remain the same? Or would they be seen as figures from a past era, left behind by the changing times? That moment, under the quiet night sky, became a turning point for Jimin. Jungkook, who was always by Jimin's side, was the first to witness that emotional moment. Without many words, Jungkook sat beside him, sharing a silence deeper than any words could express. They simply sat together, letting the night flow with feelings that were hard to explain. When Jimin finally spoke and asked, "Will we still be like before?" Jungkook could only look at him with eyes full of questions. Perhaps he didn't have a clear answer either. That night in the military barracks, the atmosphere was very different. The soldiers, who were used to Jimin's cheerful and entertaining presence, suddenly fell silent. They sensed that something was different. Even some who were not particularly close to Jimin felt a deep change. One soldier admitted that night there was something very touching. It was as if everyone there felt a loss that hadn't yet occurred. What Jimin felt that night became a reflection of a bigger emotion, one that was not only felt by him, but also by everyone there. Jimin had revealed how heavy the emotional burden he had been carrying was, although he had never openly talked about it. As an idol, he was used to showing a smile even when his heart was full of doubt and anxiety. However, military service gave him the opportunity to reflect, to reassess everything from a different perspective. Amid the exhausting training and in the moments of silence, he began to question everything about BTS's future, about himself, and whether they would still be remembered as they once were. Jungkook and Jimin, already bound by a very strong friendship, began to realize that although they had always been together, the future would not always unfold as they hoped. They talked about the stage, about music, about ARMY, and about what would happen after their military service ended. But the most important thing was that they knew the world they knew would change. And Jimin, with his tears, began to accept that reality. That night wasn't just about Jimin's tears, but also about their journey as humans learning about time, about change, and about how they stood firm even as their world began to change. The fear of loss, the fear of a world that no longer recognized them, was part of an inevitable journey. However, behind that fear, Jimin also rediscovered a greater strength: his love for the stage, for music, for ARMY, and for the bonds formed between them. Jungkook, who had always been by Jimin's side, eventually spoke in an interview, revealing how heavy Jimin's feelings were that night. According to Jungkook, that night was one they would never forget because it was the moment they saw each other not just as BTS members, but as humans facing fear and doubt in a very human way. Jungkook emphasized that although they didn't know what would happen after they finished their military service, one thing was certain: they would remain together and they would return stronger. Jimin's tears were not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, they were proof of how deep the feelings he had were, not just for his military comrades and fans, but also for the journey they had gone through together as BTS. After those tears, Jimin would return to the entertainment world with greater strength, more wisdom, and more ready to face whatever comes. Those tears, flowing under the dark night sky, became a symbol of their journey full of emotion, love, and sacrifice. In the end, Jimin and Jungkook, like BTS in general, not only showed the world they were strong and successful idols, but they also showed that behind the stage lights, they were humans with feelings just like all of us. After reflecting on Jimin BTS's tearful story at the end of his military service, we must ask ourselves, do we truly believe that this event is the true story of an idol going through inner turmoil, or is there an element of dramatization meant to attract the media and fans' attention? A question that's inevitable, given the nature of the entertainment world and the media, which often highlight emotions and dramatic stories for sensationalism. Let's think together. Could the tears that flowed be a real expression of deep fear, doubt, and hope? Or is it merely a narrative intentionally crafted to add allure, both for fans and the media? In a world full of distorted information and often exaggerated stories, how can we distinguish between authentic facts and tales created for specific purposes? First, we must acknowledge the reality that in the entertainment world, emotional stories often become the main attraction. Those involved in this industry know exactly how to craft narratives that touch the heart, stir emotions, and capture attention. A story about a world star crying in the middle of the night, longing for his fans, and feeling afraid of the future can be very compelling. But is this truly an event recorded in their history, or is it simply fuel for trending news? Then, let's look deeper. Considering that this information came from various media sources like TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and other social platforms, we must question how much we can trust the truth being conveyed. It is not uncommon to see how social media and viral content can create a story bigger than reality, blurring the lines between fact and fabrication. Are we accepting this story as truth simply because it aligns with our hopes and emotions towards idols? Or are we too quick to believe what is presented without questioning the integrity of the source? This is where our skeptical and reflective attitude is put to the test. As consumers of information, we should not just be swept away by the emotional narratives presented by the media. We need to analyze whether the news or articles we read are truly based on verifiable facts or driven by agendas to generate clicks, views, or even product sales. When a story is so dramatic and evokes sympathy, are we too quick to fall into emotions packaged beautifully, without delving deeper into the truth hidden behind it?